Okay, so that was my bad. Welcome to the Rachel Freeman Sauer Show, where technology and you are unpredictable. No, seriously, this is the go-to place for female entrepreneurs who want to accelerate their impact, their confidence, and audience growth with video in just 12 weeks. And as you know, not only do we talk about video on this show, but I have some kick-ass guests. Let me get it out. And so tonight, my guest is no exception to that. She is a phenomenal person that I met through a group coaching program. And we chose the topic for tonight because I just have to break it down just from my point of view, is I loathe that phrase, it is what it is. And I don't know if you saw my video earlier or my reel. I was a manager of a foster family agency, and I had a social worker who gave me a plaque for my birthday that says it is what it is until it isn't, because that is what I tell people all of the time. When I hear it is what it is, I feel like it is disempowering to women in particular when they say it to themselves. And there's a lot of different ways that can be perceived, but I'm going to take a stand with that because it is my wholehearted soul conviction belief that it doesn't have to always be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. And maybe you're a female entrepreneur, or maybe you're a mom and you've heard things like, it's always going to be this hard, or I'm never going to be able to really interact with my children the way I want to interact with them. This is just how it is. This is just their phase in time. And sometimes we say those things to help us use coping skills. As female entrepreneurs, sometimes we say, well, it is what it is. I'm just not good on camera. I'm just not good writing copy. I'm just not blah, blah, blah. And believe me, I have said it myself. And my guest and I are going to share a little bit about that. So if you have ever said that phrase, it is what it is, or something similar, I would love for you to put yes in the comments and just let us know. And also let me know, are you ready to break free from that bullshit? I mean, seriously, because that's what it is. We accept things until we don't accept them anymore. And it's time to not accept them. If you want something different, you can have it. Okay, I got to get off my soapbox so I can introduce my guest. And I'm going to read her bio before I bring her on. When I bring her on, please make sure to give her lots of hearts and thumbs up and welcome her like we do on the Rachel Freeman Sauer Live Show. All right, so my guest tonight is Danielle Bettmann. She is the owner and parenting coach of Wholeheartedly. She helps families with a strong-willed toddler and a good cop/bad cop dynamic find sanity and solutions. Girl, all of you out there, I wish I had this when my daughter was like 4. I was a single mom for a long time. Through one-on-one coaching, she helps extend your patience, rewire your parenting mindset, that's why she's on here, and write your family business plan. She's also the creator and host. I had to say creator, it's not on here, but it's a big deal. The creator and host of Failing Motherhood podcast, working to normalize the struggle and share vulnerable stories of feeling like a failure. Give me a heart or a yes if you've ever felt like that as a mom or as a female entrepreneur, reminding you that you are the mom your kids need. All right, so help me welcome my guest right now, Danielle Bettmann. Yes.
Hello.
So glad we're on here. I'm going to go ahead and take that off and this off. Welcome to the Rachel Freeman Sauer Live Show. And let's just get started right away. Let's dive into this.
Yes.
And tell us more about what you do and why you're doing it.
Yeah. So I am a positive parenting coach. I work with families virtually from all over the world. And I help the parents that are ready to break away out of this like chaotic, yucky state our families are in right now in this pandemic. And they don't want to screw up their kids. And they feel like they're failing at it. And so that's why we work together over a 4-month transformation to take them from chaos to calm and from, terrible bedtimes to feeling like a team. And I do this because I have a degree in child development. I was a certified teacher in classrooms in early Head Start, elementary school, and then I actually did home visiting with Save the Children for several years. And what I know about kids is that they need patient caregivers, they need thriving environments, they need a lot of structure and consistency and control, and they need to be able to thrive in the first 7 years of life. And that impacts their life for the rest of their life, and it really creates a trajectory for a whole generation. And so I really see empowering parents to be a way of changing the world for the better. And that's why I do what I do.
Okay, so now you know why she's on the Rachel Freeman Sowers Live Show. If you don't know, I've been a therapist for the last 18 years, and I've worked with people from the ages of 4 years old to like 65. And if you have lived in Redding, California, where I live, you have heard my name and know that this is part of my true belief about children and how we help the caregivers of children, no matter if they're foster parents, bio parents, adoptive parents, it doesn't matter, family. All of it is where the health of the parent is very helpful and is a necessity to the health of the child. Now, this is very similar to female entrepreneurs and how I say myself. My health is very necessary for my clients' health and for me to actually help them. So I love that. And we met in a group coaching program. And we didn't really say much to each other when I first got in there. It was like, and then it's like, okay, we need to reach out. So I reached out and we got to know each other and what we did a little bit more. And tonight really is about busting through these limiting beliefs of having to settle, or what we think is normal really isn't normal. So tell me a little bit about how you, when your clients come to you, what are they really believing? What are some of the things they say to themselves?
Yeah, I think society for young parents does a lot of families a disservice by setting the expectation that motherhood is miserable and raising young kids is the worst, and like they are just terrors, and it's going to feel awful because they're, like you don't negotiate with terrorists, and we love to make fun of the things that they're crying about, and like it's just, we're all trying to get through it. And so we're making up these stories in our heads that help us explain why this is so darn hard. And in the United States, I think it's made to be even harder because we don't have all sorts of policies to set families up for success and be able to provide a village that we need to raise kids. And so when we're on our own, there's just a culture of like wine mom culture where, you just have to deal with the day with wine and margaritas at the end of the day. And that's really all there is for hope for you.
Right. And I think, this is passed down. It's absolutely a cultural thing for women in general. And it's also a cultural thing, how we think that we're responsible for every single thing. And that everything is our fault, and we come up raised in being this like hyper responsibility when honestly sometimes it's just not your fault. Right. And when we feel like we are being judged, I mean, I remember when my daughter was in kindergarten and I went to the school, and on the teacher's desk it said everything Beth did wrong today. And it was like, how are you doing that to my kid? Right. So it's like, there are those stories that are still out there. And it's not about just being like, oh, everything's great and my kid's awesome. And no, it's about having that reality, but it's also about having that knowing that you are enough for your kids and really trusting that. I mean, I work with people like that all day, and, it's not just in mom world, right? This is in the female entrepreneur world too, and online world for female entrepreneurs. And it's how we look at what the standard is or comparison. Like a lot of women do that when I help them with video. And how do we overcome those limiting beliefs? So with my clients, helping them overcome and entertain that possibility that something can be different. And then we gently start shifting that belief system in the body and the mind at the same time. So how do you do it with your clients?
Yeah, I see a big piece in the way that I work with families being formed by my own life experience as a mom. So my husband and I had 2 girls. They are 15 months apart. And when they were 2 and 3, we went through a really hard season as a family. We ended up selling our house, and my husband went to inpatient rehab. And I had connected with Al-Anon as a support group resource. And what I learned through being in that group for every single week for about 2 years was so much mindset work. It was understanding for the first time as a grown-up what it takes to have appropriate expectations, to have boundaries, to understand resentment, and just to be able to finally reconcile how I take care of myself in a way that creates healthy relationships moving forward, like overflowing from me.
Okay,
And,
hold on. I'm going to stop you. Like,
yes.
Did you all hear that? Did you all? I mean, like, again, that's why she's here. It's about how you're taking care of yourself so that you can give.
Yeah.
Be the mom, the woman, the entrepreneur, the whatever that you want to be in those moments. Okay, Go ahead. Sorry, just had to emphasize that.
So as I continued to start my business and work with families, I realized that all of those, all of that understanding needs to be built in, as well as the understanding of what's going on with the child and how do we actually get them to cooperate and brush their teeth, and like the practical parenting skills as well. And that's why I created what I call like sanity and solutions, or sanity and strategies, because you need both. You need to be able to be really, really clear about how you take care of and prioritize your own well-being and extend your patience from within yourself, as well as understanding and having a full toolkit of strategies of what to do as a parent that builds your confidence as well and allows you to see the changes in your child's behavior. But it really does start and end with us as moms and as entrepreneurs. And that is, a lot of pressure, but at the same time, it's very empowering to know that we have control over our composure. We have control over our perspective. We have control over the ways that we're interpreting their behavior. And so that's where I really see mindset work being key with parenting, is breaking down what is the story you're telling yourself about this situation or this child's behavior, and how do we rewrite that story so it's serving you and it's serving them in a much healthier way to move forward.
Absolutely. I was in an interaction not that long ago, and the parent was having a really hard time. And I think sometimes too, as parents, and I was guilty of this too, is we forget that they've lived for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, like 2 years. They've been alive. I've been alive for almost like 48. Don't tell anybody. It's a big like 48 years, and I have a functioning brain. And I get frustrated because the 2-year-old won't do what I want them to do, or won't brush their teeth. And really what you're talking about is the same thing I tell female entrepreneurs when we're working with video. It's eliminating that external stimulant for you to feel something. So when that parent is with that child, it really is all about how are you shifting your internal way for you? Like, this isn't, yes, it's for your child, but for you first, because you are there for the child.
Right.
Right. And it's the same with like video. So I remember, you wrote down, like, at first when you started video, how did that feel?
Yeah. So I started my business 2 years ago, like almost on the dot, and started on Facebook primarily, and didn't love doing live. So primarily posts for a while. I know. I'm sure you never hear that. And started maybe when I started my Facebook group, going live there because it felt a little safer. So that I knew who would be watching it, or if it wouldn't just be exploited to the internet. And I also feel really intimidated when I know like family members are going to be coming across this, or, something like that. So I started going live in my Facebook group to start to share just some short parenting tips or some stories. I really try to talk about what parenting looks like at my house and use some clear examples of here's how I handle this situation to be able to help moms understand how there's a different approach is possible. And so I started doing that, and now I'm focusing more on Instagram this past year. And so I've been doing Instagram lives and using video in a masterclass form as well.
So I think that's really great, because you went through your own process, and it's a very similar process to what you take your parents through and what I take female entrepreneurs through. So let's do a little bit of back and forth here. So I'm going to ask one question. You give your tip. I'll give mine. I'll ask another one that way and that
Sounds
way.
good.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm shaking it up here. Like on the fly. Okay. So you mentioned mindset with parenting, and you mentioned a little bit of what I can see as mindset with your video. So tell me one tip that you give parents that can shift their mindset in, let's just say, 5 minutes or less.
Yeah. I think one of the most powerful shifts is going from my child is giving me a hard time to my child is having a hard time.
Okay, you get that? Put yes in the comments, hearts and thumbs up if that has ever happened to you. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of time we take their behavior personally, and we make up a story about how it is something that is inherently wrong about us because they are our report card of how we're doing as a parent. And then we get stressed out that we're failing them and we're failing parenting, and they're going to turn out to just, like never amount to anything in life. Like we just catastrophize over and over and over with this one incident that is genuinely just them having a hard time having impulse control or doing what we're asking in that moment because they're too in their own world focused on something else. And it has nothing to do with us. So I think it's definitely detaching from that personalization in their behavior and really just seeing it for what it is, which is them having a hard time and them asking for help through their behavior, because it's always sending a message, and that message is usually please help. So if we can see that for what it is and say, oh, I'm the grown-up, I'm here to help, it allows us to be able to move forward in a more analytical, problem-solving, helpful way.
Okay, so much neuroscience and all that stuff, right? One of the ways I help my female entrepreneurs, my clients, shift that mindset of, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't look good on camera. And I just want to entertain the possibility that what if that wasn't true? What if it wasn't true? And it can apply to your parents too. What if it wasn't true that my kid is trying to torture me? Like your kid isn't thinking about you. He can't do it. They can't do it. No. Prefrontal cortex. It's survival.
Right.
So mine is, what if none of it was true? And yours is like, say it again, that first part that you said.
Yeah, they're not giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time.
Okay. That's the mindset shift. Dang, this is good stuff. Okay. Number 2, I'm just coming up with these as we go. What is one tool, skill that parents can start using to help them shift their internal way of being? Because, right, it's the internal goes on to the external. But I think I have a fear. We talk about neurological pattern way of being. We talk about all those things. They're patterns, right? So what is one tool that they can use?
That's a great question. The tool that I really, I don't know if it's tool, if it's another kind of mindset shift, but I really think you need to ground down in the belief that you are the parent that your kids need. And
so how do they do that?
So I talk about that in every episode of Failing Motherhood. And that's kind of like, I ask every guest that I come on, how are you the parent that your kids need? And everyone's answer is so different, which I feel like is beautiful. But it really is coming up with that explanation yourself of, so let's say it's an exercise then I can say it's a tool. So the exercise is writing down for what reasons are you the parent that your kids need, and how can you really step into that identity? And so much of it really is that you are the one that sees them the most. You are the one that knows them better than anyone else. You are the one that is going to be magnetized to be drawn to them more than anyone else. Mm-hmm. And like, you always are going to want what's best for them and be on their team more than anyone else. And then there's even more things that is true of your personality. That's true of just the way that you function and the things that you can teach them. Mm-hmm. And if you write that story through an exercise, then you're going to be able to really see yourself in a different light. Perfect. Because writing out that story, you're grounding yourself, right? That's the first thing you said, parents grounding themselves. The same thing with female entrepreneurs before you go onto video, and parents can use this too, right? This is the beauty of the work that each of us do, because it really is coming into your own and building that internal confidence, right? Mm-hmm. Both of us are doing that with two different populations. And I can tell you, if you do it with motherhood, you'll be able to do it with video. And if you do it with video, you'll be able to do it with motherhood, because you are the same person. Totally. So when I am working with my clients, grounding is really important. You can write, I have a 5-minute journaling resource that I've put out there that you can use for parenting, and you can use it for entrepreneurship. I will make sure to put that link in the comments of each one of these posts that we have, so that you can have that. That's one thing. But another thing is to visualize how you want to be. Now, remember, the neurological part of this is that you think you can't control things. So we go on and we hold tighter. Don't do that. Don't do this. I do it with my dog when we go on a walk, for goodness sake. I mean, I'm like, what? Rachel, calm the F down. So like, we start grabbing, right? And what happens is we start telling the brain, the reticular activation system, which is in the base of the brain, what we want, what we focus on. And remember, your brain doesn't tell you what's real. You tell it what's real. Mm-hmm. So if you're a parent and you're living in what you experience with parents, we have to disconnect that thing. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what we're doing with each of our populations. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, wow, we should be like co-businesses or something. Okay, so we're going to start kind of coming full circle here. And we said, these are ways you break through some of the limiting beliefs of it is what it is. It's always going to be this hard. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about mindset. We've talked about our tool. And I'm wondering if you can tell us why you decided, what made you decide to seek support and hire a coach? Because ultimately, we both have done that in the last 6 months or so. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And although there may be some female entrepreneurs that are still watching this, if you're a mom, seeking support is important. If you're a dad, seeking support is important. Mm-hmm. If you're same-sex marriage, same-sex parenting, same-sex partners, straight relationships, everyone needs support. Mm-hmm. So talk about why you decided to get support. Yeah. So 2020 was a year. What? That goes without saying. Yeah. And with my little baby business, I was afraid that it wasn't going to make it. And I didn't know, I knew how to pivot from in-home to virtual, and I started my podcast, but yet it was still kind of crickets with parents reaching out. And I knew that they were in survival mode and trying to manage all of the things, but I didn't know how I could help best. And I knew that it came down to my messaging and creating an offer that really met their needs and being able to really maximize my strengths for how I can serve families. And that's really what I really want to do. And so it came down to this, a little bit of a do or die conversation with my husband, where he's like, so are we making money, or are you going back to work? What's happening? And so I really, really, really didn't want to go back to work because of the logistics, because of the COVID exposure, and because I am a determined business owner and I'm going to make this work. And so I was researching options and knew that if I really wanted to make this work, and if I really wanted to be where I wanted to be in 5 years and 10 years from now, I had to make a long-term decision, which looked like more of an investment that I felt ready for in the moment. And so it was scary to think that I'm considering, investing money rather than making money or taking a surefire offer to make money. And I knew that I wanted to be where this business coach was that I was meeting with. And I wanted that badly enough that I was going to trust the process and kind of surrender that control and be able to say, okay, like I'm going to dive in and we'll see what happens, because the end result is worth it to me. And I have to do what it takes to make this work. And so that's where I invested in this 6-month mastermind. And it has been so transformational for me as a coach to hire a coach, because now I can speak so clearly to the shoes that my clients are in when they are considering this decision. And I know just how valuable this commitment level is that they are considering, for how transformational just that coming to terms with, I need the help, I'm going to seek the help, and I'm going to commit to doing the work. It's huge. It's huge for business owners, and it's huge for parents.
I totally agree. And, you hit on a couple things there that really all of us go through. When I did a reel the other day about, if you're going to make a large investment into a coaching program, these are 3 things you need to think about. And really, it's the number one thing is trusting yourself and not making it out of scarcity. It doesn't feel like you just called up our mastermind person and said, like, okay, I'm ready. Like, let's do it now. Like, I believe you asked some questions and you made sure it was a fit. And then you accepted that the success was yours. And let's not beat around the bush, but you and I paid a large amount of money because the dollar is in the tanker, according to the British pound. Right. So it's way more than what the British pound cost was. Yes. And it was like, okay, I have to believe in myself.
Yes.
And so your parents know deep down within them that there is something, that it's okay, that they can make it. There is nothing shameful, embarrassing about seeking support. And honestly, the welfare of you and your children is dependent on it. You only know what's in your own head. It's the same thing as I tell my female entrepreneurs. I made this leap because it was like the same, like, no, it's time to take this to the next level. And I can't see it all in my own head because I'm only at one level. And we try and we go and we just keep struggling and we keep pushing and we keep muscling through. And I'm like, I'm done doing that alone.
Yeah.
And then I get to meet people like you, right?
Yeah.
And so I just want to encourage, if you are a female entrepreneur that knows in your gut, your parent that knows in your gut that you can use some assistance, non-judgmental support, because I know Danielle and all of you know me. It's not about what you can do or what you can't do. It's about, let's see where you are and let's take you to where you want to be.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Dang, I gotta put that on
write that down. Yeah.
But it really is about that. And it begins first with you. So if you're a female entrepreneur that's like, my business is struggling, I'm hiding behind copy, I'm hiding behind a post, I'm putting a quote up there because I just don't really want to be that visible yet. But you have an audience that's freaking waiting for you. You have kids that are waiting for you to step up to the freaking plate. Now step up.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit passionate. Danielle's like,
love it.
Seeing this side of Rachel.
Bring the fire.
So we've talked a lot about, it's honestly like walking hand in hand, right? There are lots of moms that are female entrepreneurs, and there's some female entrepreneurs that aren't moms, and then there's moms that aren't female entrepreneurs. But the one thing that we all have in common is that we are women. And we want to do the best that we can at anything that we do.
100%.
And sometimes that means that you reach out, you have conversations with people that might possibly be a good fit. Now, if you've watched tonight and you're like, she's kick-ass, and you're like, I want to work with either one of us or both of us for that matter, then how can people find you? I'm just going to put this up, and it's probably going to cover our face, but I'm just going to put it up for a minute. Okay. Yeah. So how can people find you the best? Here's all the links.
Yeah. So Instagram is my favorite place to be. I love DMing and connecting and hearing about how old your kids are and what's going on at your house. And so definitely find me on Instagram. I'm at parent_wholeheartedly. And I have another masterclass coming up on Thursday, the April 22nd. And it's Chaos to Calm. Oh, nice. Happy birthday.
Okay, what's the title again? Because I interrupted you.
It's called Chaos to Calm. And it's all about trying to prevent tantrums and eliminate power struggles and extend your patience. And so it's free. And it's a great first step for getting to know me and my process and getting a leg up. So find that link in my Instagram bio as well to be able to save your spot for that.
And what you can also do is after we do this, you can also put these things in the comments. And I'll put someone in the comments too. All right. So we are going to wrap it up because we are at 36:19. And this has been such an inspiring conversation. If you have found this conversation inspiring, Danielle and I would love to hear that. And I want to encourage you, if you're a female entrepreneur who knows that video is the #1 way to skyrocket your impact and your audience growth, but you've been struggling to really find out how that's done, you don't have a system in place, or you're just like, I just want someone by my side, then I would love to have you reach out to me. You can go to www.rachelfreemansowers.com and check out the Visible with Video Accelerator one-on-one coaching program, or feel free again to reach out to me. I just want to thank my guest, Danielle Bettmann, so much for being here. And make sure to share this video because this stuff needs to get out there. So until next time, as I say at the end of every single video, make sure to stay true to yourself, be kind to others, and always, always, always honor the wise one that is within you. I will see you all next week on the Rachel Freeman Sowers Live Show.